So, for people who may not know, your name is Walter Lichtniger, right?
Yes.
Also known as my Uncle Walter. You are the founder and owner of Walter's Custom Cabinetry in East Stroudsburg, PA.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so when did you start your business, and what training or education did you pursue to assist you in learning your field skills and business acumen?
Okay, so I grew up in Europe, in Austria. We finished high school at 15. You have the option to either go to college or learn a trade or so basically go to trade school. So when I was 15, I went to 4 years of trade school. The trade school in cabinetry consists of 1 day a week of school, 4 days of physically working in a shop as an apprentice. And after the 4 years, you graduate as a licensed cabinet maker. So that's how I started, okay? And when I was 22, I had an opportunity to come to America because I was always interested in working overseas. And I took the opportunity, came here, and immediately was kind of impressed by how easy it actually is to start a business here. It's a little bit more difficult where I come from. So that's what really brought me here, and that's why I'm still here.
Was there something about America that really just stood out that you were like, I can really just, hone in my skills here and whatnot?
For me, it was really easy to get here because I didn't need a special visa. All I just needed a passport to come here. When you come from Austria, there's a how would I say? The USA has an understanding with Austria that you don't need a visa if you come here. Okay? So it was really more for me an adventure, just to come here and learn the language. That was really, and also to work.
Yeah.
As soon as I got a work permit, I was able to work here, and primarily I think it was just working and learning the language what really brought me here.
Why in particular did you decide this business was right for you?
I was always going to college wasn't for me. I was more like a hands-on person. I was in school always fidgety. It was just not for me. I need to be constantly moving and physically being active. So that the school wasn't for me, and the only other option was to learn a trade. My brother is in the metal business. He learned. He's a skilled metal fabricator. He has his own business in Austria too, and my father suggested somebody should do something with wood. Where I come from, when you start learning a trade, you finish it. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And you pursue something, you finish it, and then you can move on from there. It's very frowned upon if you start something and you quit. So
right.
That's really that's how it is. And I actually always liked working with wood. So.
Were there any challenges when you first started your business, and how was it involved since you began it?
For me, starting the business was surprisingly easy. I had a very high level of skills. So when I came here and I compared myself with my peers here, I felt like I was already ahead of the curve. So my work ethic alone superseded a lot of my competitors. If I'm up against the deadline, for me, time is not an issue. I work till 2 o'clock in the morning if I have to. So the work ethic that was instilled upon me where I come from, was already the thing that you need when you start a business. You understand?
Yeah.
You put your business first. You have to. You can't complain about anything because you're the one who has to do it. So that kind of thing, So that really, and all it is in my business is meeting deadlines, meet the quality, and you will have work that never ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. You know? And I think that goes for most of the businesses, correct?
Right. Like you have to have that initiative to just keep pushing yourself. It's like a disciplined mindset to keep working.
When you think you're tired, you push forward, and just ignore it,
Mm-hmm.
For me, a good lesson is I always compare myself. Like just the other day, I'm in a phase now where I'm totally overworked because there's just so much business and everything in at once. But then I watch the news and I see people struggling in Africa, correct?
Right.
Somewhat in a cobalt mine, or you know what I mean? And then it puts everything into perspective, correct?
It's like you much rather be here, working.
Exactly.
You can't just get success without putting in work,
Exactly.
It's a kind of give and get kind of deal,
Yeah, and the good thing is, once you go through these phases and things normalize, you forget a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You forget very quickly what you just went through.
Yeah.
Because that's just how the nature is,
Yeah. Question is, were there any doubts you had when starting this business?
No, I never had any doubts. No.
Okay.
No. For me, it always comes back to my skill that I have, correct?
Right.
You can take everything away from me. I still have my skill, correct? I can go to Home Depot, buy myself a tool bag, and I can make money tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like even if your company got taken away, you still have that mindset to keep working, so you could build it up from the ground again if you wanted to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sheer will.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Were there any challenges or threats of creating a custom cabinetry business in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, the challenge is here in Pennsylvania is to find skilled labor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the pandemic really put a dent in the labor market. People just don't want to work the way they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People have all kinds of excuses, from migraine headaches to the dog ate my homework, that kind of thing. You know? So it was very challenging already before COVID, but it's even more now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's just money is not even a motivator for these people. It's just interesting how people just don't want to work. Basically, it's hard for them to just manage to do the 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That are required. And when you have a workforce like that, it becomes really difficult to run a business. Obviously, and you see that everywhere, from Panera Bread to Dunkin' Donuts. It's extremely difficult for business owners right now to do business. I have an installation business in New York. So all the cabinetry that I produce here gets installed in Manhattan or out in the Hamptons. And I have a team of 4 to 6 people that do that work for me in the city, correct?
Right.
These guys come out on weekends to help me. And might I add that all these people are foreigners. Every single one of them.
Right.
All South America, they come from Colombia, Dominican Republic. They all want to work. I just want to throw that in.
Exactly.
They drive in an hour and a half from New York on a Saturday
just
to work. And it's just amazing. They're hungry. They want to make a few dollars. And over here, nobody's interested,
It's like when you find those people who also love what they're doing, not just doing it for the paycheck. Like they could work overtime and they still wouldn't complain because what they're doing is what they love.
Yes. So that's the issue with the staff. Okay. So
next question is, when you were a child, I know you said that you didn't like school. Does that mean that you've always had aspirations to start your own business?
Not really. That came when I mean, looking back, it was pretty obvious that every time I got involved in a project,
Mm-hmm.
I was always kind of driven to taking the lead,
Mm-hmm.
just to make it happen. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it was a natural thing for me to take charge and push something through and get it done. Correct?
Right, you have that visionary mindset that when you...
And I also have, I think, fairly good people skills too, to motivate people, to bring them together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that probably drove me to open a business. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought to myself, why do this for somebody else when I can do it for myself?
Mm.
You know, that kind of,
Right.
you know. So, but it came pretty obvious when I came here. I think I had my work permit for maybe not even a year.
Mm-hmm.
I started my own business here. So it was easy to do here. You know, I
Right.
rented a small space in a shop, and I took on my own jobs, and then I built my business from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to do where I come from.
Right.
People don't rent out a space in a cabin to make a shop for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you physically have to have the funds to start basically big.
Right.
So
Where did
So
you end up getting the funds from to kind of like propel your business?
basically just I worked, I saved, I worked, I saved. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
that works. You know, yeah.
So it was kind of like
But-
every dollar, every paycheck that you got would go into this idea of finally
Oh,
starting.
for at least 15 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow.
Well, my equipment, I mean, we're talking about the stuff that I need to make a cabinet, you know, in that level that I'm working now.
Right.
We're talking about $1.5 million, you know.
Holy.
You need, as a startup, you know, because
Yeah.
the machinery is just extremely expensive. You know?
Right. So, I mean, it obviously seems like you're very successful. But do you believe that, like, it takes failure to essentially understand what it really means to be successful?
Yeah, I never went through that. I guess for me it was always so simple. You know, it's
Yeah.
always keeping the quality up
Mm-hmm.
and doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep that simple, that concept going.
Right.
There's no way you're gonna fail.
Right.
No. And obviously you have to manage your money. Understand that concept in a business.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you see on TV, you know, very successful people sitting in an office or
Right.
delegates, but that goes into more of the corporate level,
Mhm.
I believe. But if you are a small business, you have to be hands-on, you know.
It's like a
And-
difference between being a boss and being a leader, because a boss just lets everyone else handle it when a leader is the
Exactly.
one to be there with your
Exactly.
crew, you know.
I'm in the trenches with all these guys, you know.
Yeah.
I understand everything they have to go through because I do it,
Mhm.
you know.
It's more than just a boss and an employee, you know, it's like a
Exactly.
family.
Yeah, I'm side by side with these guys every day, you know.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
All right. So, what was your dream job as a young man?
Well, thinking back, I would have loved to do something in sports. You know, I was always a great skier, snowboard. I was just always great in sports. But to pursue anything in sports was very difficult for me because I grew up as a worker.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so for me it was always putting food on the table. You know, supporting yourself.
Right.
When I was 15, at the end of when I was 16, that's the last time I asked my parents for money. You know,
Mhm.
because I went to trade school, I made my own money.
Right.
I mean, obviously I stayed at home. I didn't have to pay for anything.
Right.
I have to ask for an allowance.
But you weren't dependent. You weren't reliable on
money
it.
from my parents. You know,
Right.
when I was 16, that was the last time that I took a cent from my parents. You
Yeah.
know? So.
So, would you say it like clicked in your head at 15 that you were like, okay, I have a goal I have to achieve?
It's not something that I could do, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, I was, but that's always obviously a regret. But I just love sports, you know, but that's just how it is, you know.
Yeah.
So,